Good morning, boys and girls. It's good to be with you today as we worship God. Let's worship God in a song. Good morning, God. This is your day. We are your children. Show us your way. Good morning, God. This is your day. We are your children. Show us your way. Well, how does God show us his way? He shows us through his word, his true word. Now, we've been studying the book of Genesis from the very beginning when God created everything, man and woman and the earth, everything, to now to Jacob. And all through the Bible, we saw what God had done because God is faithful. God is faithful. We don't always see God. We don't see God in a form, but we know he's there, just like the air. We don't see the air. Let's breathe it in. No, but we see God in different ways. We see God in his creation. That's how we see God. He created flowers and bushes, I was trying to think of it, and trees, and all kinds of vegetation so that we can eat. He's created all kinds of animals, and we know that it all started in the book of Genesis. Well, that's when Moses wrote it, being inspired by God, of course. Now, as we end the book of Genesis, we see that Jacob is going to give his blessing to all 12 of his sons. So that's where we're Jacob gave God's message to Reuben, Simeon, and Levi. Well, his message was a blessing. All the sons listened very carefully. Jacob gave a special blessing to his son Judah. Jacob said that he and his family would have great power. Someone from Judah's family would always be the ruler of God's people. Then Jacob spoke the greatest promise of all. A forever king would be from the line of Judah. God promised that he would send the Lord Jesus Christ to rescue the world from sin and be a king forever. God keeps his promises. Jacob gave his message and his blessing to Zebulun, Issachar, Dan, Gad, Asher. Then Jacob gave God's message to Naphtali and Joseph and Benjamin. Jacob had a message for all his sons because God knows everything and God keeps his promises. Now, when Jacob was finished with all his blessings and his message, he said to his sons that he wanted them to promise that when he died, that his body would be taken back to Canaan in the land that God promised. So Jacob wanted to be with all his family. He had his father and his grandfather and his great-grandfather. Jacob's sons did exactly what Jacob wanted. He went back to the promised land. Joseph and his brothers and all the workers in Egypt and all the other people took the trip to Canaan. And it was a long trip, and they took horses and chariots, and they came to the right place, and everyone was very sad when Jacob died. They cried and cried. Jacob's family buried Jacob just where he had promised, in the promised land. Jacob's sons lived in Egypt for many years. Jacob's son, Joseph, grew older and older, and some bad things happened to Joseph, but Joseph knew God's plan for him was good. His brothers meant it for evil, but God intended it for good. Genesis 50:20. When Joseph was an old man, he remembered God's promise. Jacob's family would come back to Canaan one day. God keeps his promises. Many years later, God led the family of Jacob's sons out of Egypt. God kept his promise. God took his people back to the land that he promised them. God keeps his promises.
Gale.